A quick question before we get into this. Have you ever bought a grow light and you got everything all set up and you still looked at your plants and it looked like they were barely surviving? Because that was me, and it took a long time for me to figure out exactly why that was happening. If you've been searching for LED grow lights to help grow your plants indoors, I tested the Barrina CX91 to see if these Barrina grow lights are actually worth it for indoor gardening and indoor hydroponics. I'm going to give you the honest results today, the things I wasn't expecting, and who this is actually for. Now, real quick, before we go any further, I left a link right down below in the description. If you want to check the specs or check the pricing while you're watching this video, it's got it right there waiting for you. So let me give you some context. Before I bought the Barrina CX91, I had already tried a couple of different setups. Bulbs, strip lights, even positioning the plants in different places in the house, like the windowsills, obviously dependent on the time of the year. And every single time I kept running into the same exact problem: uneven lighting. Plants were leaning and stretching towards whatever light source was closest. Leggy growth. Things just not filling out the way that they should. And on top of that, every setup was looking messy. Cords everywhere. Lights at weird angles. It didn't feel sustainable, especially to my anxiety. And that's what really pushed me to something more structured. I needed something that would grow my plants more consistently and more evenly without me having to babysit it every few days. And that's when I landed on the Barrina CX91. Now here's what makes it different from picking up a single grow light. The Barrina CX91 is a full 5-tier plant stand. It comes with 4 25-watt TX series LED grow lights built right in. One per shelf, and the lights run full spectrum with a yellow color output that's specifically designed to accelerate plant growth while being easy on your eyes. The whole unit stands about 59 inches tall, which is just under 5 feet. And the footprint is roughly 24 inches by 14 inches. So it's vertical. It takes up less floor space considering how much growing room you actually get. The stand holds about 225 pounds across all 5 shelves. So you're not limited to tiny pots. And the shelf heights are adjustable, which matters a lot when you work with plants in different stages and different heights. The lights connect to a built-in timer socket. You set it once and it runs on schedule every single day. And that was a really big thing that stood out to me because I did not want something else that I gotta make sure that I'm watching and manually turning it on and off, hoping that my plants get enough light throughout the day. Setup was honestly more straightforward than I expected. Everything is pre-designed to fit together, so you're not trying to figure out what piece goes where. The lights can be attached to each shelf and the whole system assembles without any special tools. When I got it all fully set up, the first thing I noticed was how clean it looked. That might sound like a minor thing, but it isn't. Because if you're putting this thing in your kitchen, your living room, a spare room, it actually looks intentional. It looks like it's part of the space, not like a science experiment you're running in the corner. Each shelf gets its own dedicated light strip above it. That's key. You're not trying to angle one light to cover multiple levels. Every plant on every shelf gets consistent, direct coverage. So after using it, here's what I noticed. The biggest shift was my plants stopped stretching. Leggy growth is a sign that the plants are not getting enough light and they're stretching to where that light source is. Once I got the CX91 up and running, that stopped. Growth started coming in fuller and more even. I was running herbs and some leafy greens in the shelves and they moved past germination and they just kept going. That had just been sticking point for some of my earliest setups. Things would sprout and then would kind of stall out. That did not happen here. The timer itself took something off my plate that I did not realize how much mental energy it was actually using. You set it, it runs, and you move on with your life. If you're someone who's been gathering random lights and trying to get plants to grow indoors and things just aren't clicking, this is the kind of setup that just removes the guesswork. I left the link right down below so you can check the current specs and the pricing while it's still fresh. Now, let me be straight with you on both sides. What I like: it's clean, it's organized, and every shelf gets its own lighting. It saves a lot of space compared to spreading plants around. And once it's running, you can truly just let it go. What to know going in: this is a dedicated unit. You need a specific spot for it. It's not something you shuffle around the room, though you can with the casters. And compared to picking up a single budget light, this is going to be a different type of investment. But remember, you're not buying a light, you're buying a complete setup. And that changes the math. This is really built for 2 types of people: someone who's serious about consistently growing indoors, or someone who is done guessing why their plants are not growing properly. If you're casually putting things in a windowsill, this might not be the best setup for you. You probably don't need this, but it is nice. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's nice. But if growing indoors is something that you're committed to, herbs, greens, microgreens, or anything that you want to grow year round, the Barrina CX91 is a setup that delivers. So the final verdict for the Barrina grow lights: for a structured all-in-one system that is tiered, it has adjustable shelves, has a built-in timer, with consistent LED light growth, this is one of the most practical setups that I've ever used. It removes the guesswork, it keeps everything organized, and it actually works. If you want to check it out, the link is right below. You can check current prices and see what bundles Barrina has available. And I'm curious, are you just getting started with indoor gardening, or have you been doing this for a while? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know where you're at. If this helped you, give a like and subscribe. I got a lot more to share. Thank you for watching. Shine bright, everybody. YouTube thinks you'll like this video next.